Over the past decade, China's presence in the Middle East and Indian Ocean has expanded significantly. CNA examined China's growing presence and analyzed its activities in the diplomatic, informational, military, and economic domains to understand what this means for the United States. Chinese security analysts, including those affiliated with the People's Liberation Army, or PLA, have long acknowledged the importance of the Middle East and the Indian Ocean as a vital nexus connecting North America and Europe to Asia. China relies heavily on access to seaborne energy imports and maritime trade, which transit maritime choke points in the Middle East. China's economic presence in the region is intended to upgrade its domestic industries while reducing its overcapacity in others. The Chinese military, particularly its Navy, has a mandate to protect the growing number of Chinese citizens and investments in the region. China has signaled bilateral agreements with many countries in the region to increase security cooperation and curb regional support for domestic separatist groups. The Chinese military uses its presence in the region to bolster Chinese foreign policy objectives in multiple ways. PLA Navy port visits highlight Chinese military modernization, while regional arms sales present China as an alternative supplier to the United States. The PLA also provides a growing number of training opportunities for both senior and up-and-coming regional military leaders in an effort to foster good relations and close interpersonal ties. These activities help them better understand the region, its actors, and politics. The PLA Navy conducts a wide range of peacetime operations in the Middle East and Western Indian Ocean. For example, they have maintained a near-constant three-ship presence in the Gulf of Aden, conducting counter-piracy operations since 2008. In 2015, the PLA evacuated roughly 800 Chinese and foreign citizens from Yemen. The PLA Navy makes routine regional naval deployments to continue protecting assets, personnel, and maritime trade. The Chinese government has taken steps to leverage their large commercial shipping fleet to support military operations and has commissioned advanced logistics ships that may be deployed to the region. The Chinese military base in Djibouti is well positioned to act as a logistics center and a possible command and control hub for the PLA Navy. China uses its ongoing presence in the region to communicate three core messages that run counter to U.S. interests. We can help you achieve your economic goals, we are a force for regional stability, and our presence is benign. Chinese state-owned firms have concessions to develop and operate in 6 regional ports. These concessions are shared with local partners and foreign companies in every port except Gwadar, where a Chinese firm is the sole operator. Should Chinese firms seek to effect access to these ports, they could influence national leaders, local officials, and port authorities, leveraging debt owed to Chinese financial institutions or by trying to impact future investment. Our research has identified factors that may influence how Chinese decision-makers choose a location for a second base. These include location strategy, the presence of Chinese state-owned firms, local support for a Chinese military presence, third country attitudes towards that presence, and the host country's reliance on Chinese capital. The likelihood of PLA intervention in the region is increasing, particularly in places with unstable political environments and Chinese presence. This includes countries such as Kenya, Tanzania, Sudan, or Yemen. And because the region is becoming more crowded and complex, the U.S. Navy will likely be forced to consider how it will respond in the event of unplanned or unexpected encounters with Chinese military assets or civilians. Understanding where China is focusing its efforts is the first step in developing an appropriate policy response. We have identified Djibouti, Kenya, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and the United Arab Emirates as several focal points for Chinese presence. The next step in crafting a U.S. policy approach in the region is to address China's public messaging campaign. First, the U.S. should highlight the positive aspects of its presence in the region, particularly the U.S. Navy, which remains far more active in the region than the Chinese military or Navy. For example, the presence of the U.S. Navy continues to safeguard the region's waterways critical to maintaining global growth and stability. Second, the United States should avoid giving regional countries the perception that they would like countries to choose sides between themselves and China. Finally, American policymakers should continue to highlight the United States' respect for national institutions and the U.S.'s desire, on the basis of the rule of law, to develop long-term engagement plans with countries in the region.